China reining in its corporate giants. Beijing reportedly telling the ride-hailing company Didi, their Uber, to delay their American IPO months before they actually did go public. Chinese regulators wanted Didi to examine its network and data security. That was a key concern at the time for Beijing. But this is all on now what we're seeing today. This Chinese social media site, Weibo, shooting higher in the pre-market. Its chairman and a state investor, reportedly considering taking the company private. It's actually way off of where it was earlier, but I want to bring in disruptive tech research founder and chief analyst Lou Bassanese. What do you make of all of this? I mean, this is the kind of thing that makes American investors very nervous about buying into Chinese companies.
Listen, Cheryl, you couldn't pay me to buy Chinese stocks. I mean, just because it's freely trading doesn't mean it's a free market. I mean, this is the big risk. Any Chinese company that you own, you're in partnership with the Chinese government, and it's never going to be an equal partnership. I mean, with Didi here, they boxed out Uber, and now they're just cutting off the company's own growth by saying, look, we're not going to let any new users download the app. I think this is it's not even an existential risk. It's a real risk to any Chinese investment. We went through this almost, a decade ago when all these new Chinese companies were coming public via IPO on the New York Stock Exchange. Investors tend to ignore these risks, but here it is. It's a very poignant reminder why you shouldn't own these stocks. Yeah. You can't give me any good reason how you can put hard-earned capital to work in a company like this when the government can just, on a whim, pretty much decimate the growth story.
Yeah, no.
In one act.
It's disconcerting. I agree with you. I want to move on to what's going on with Amazon. I mean, this is one of obviously the biggest corporations in the world. Adam Jassy is going to be the new CEO of Amazon today. What do you think that this means for the company? Jeff Bezos is still going to be, overseeing everything. I mean, but obviously have a voice. But how's this all going to work, do you think?
Look, I think it's keep calm and carry on owning Amazon. I think we've seen transitions in big tech before, ones that are just measured, like with Microsoft, and we've seen that stock perform tremendously. And then you've seen sudden ones with Steve Jobs at Apple, and Tim Cook's done an amazing job. I think platforms trump personalities in the long term. Bezos has done an amazing job building a platform company that can continue to expand. His persona is in everything that company does. Without him at the helm, I don't think you're in a big risk. I mean, Amazon's one of those few companies. I would say Apple and Amazon are the only FANG stocks that have a loyal base and a platform that they can continually expand. They don't have to innovate anymore. They just have to iterate, right? They take the business that they have and expand it into adjacent markets. We've seen what's happened with Apple under Tim Cook. I mean, so many people were skeptical about his leadership after Jobs, and the stock's up 400% since he took over.
I got to correct myself. Andy Jassy, somebody that we need to know a lot more about. Andy Jassy, but how do you think that he's going to work under Bezos, I think is the bigger question here. We don't know a lot about him.
Yeah, we don't know a lot about him, but I think we're going to find out. And again, we didn't know much about Tim Cook, right? Like he operated. He was very big in the everyday operations of the business. I don't think that Jeff Bezos is turning the reins of the company over to someone that he doesn't have extreme confidence in. I mean, that's the bottom line. Do you trust Jeff Bezos? Then of course you got to trust who he picks as a successor.
Yeah, and he's still there. We have to be clear with that. I do want to ask you about this big cyber attack that happened over the weekend. And obviously they're looking. These are, we believe, Russian state actors again. This Russian criminal gang. They're back. This is Kaseya. But what's so sad about this is this company that got hacked supports small and medium businesses. They don't have the wherewithal like an Amazon would or a Facebook when they get attacked. How worried should we be here? I mean, the Russians don't seem to be backing off.
Look, I think this is the biggest vulnerability in our digital world, and the pandemic accelerated the digitization of businesses, even small businesses. And I think you hit it on the head here. These are small businesses. These are grocery stores, schools whose networks are being compromised and don't have necessarily the defenses in place or the financial resources to fend off and pay these ransom. I think so. From that standpoint, we've criminally underinvested in cybersecurity, so that's a huge investment opportunity for people. You got to own an ETF like Hack because there's no silver bullet solution. Yeah. But what I also think is interesting here is what happens with Bitcoin, right? Like they're requesting a ransom in Bitcoin, and it was supposed to be secure. The last time these hackers requested a ransom in Bitcoin, the government got it back. So I think there's implications here for the cryptocurrency market as well. So scary from the small business standpoint. I think there's two investment opportunities opportunities here as well.
There are some that believe,
and
you know,
cybersecurity.
there are some that believe out there, Lou, that because of the rise of Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency over the last year, that is leading to more cyber attacks because of Bitcoin. I got to leave it there, but I think that's an interesting, something to think about. Lou, it's great to see you.
I agree.
All right.
You too, Cheryl.
Lou Basenese.